Welcome you all to the course EC8553 Discrete Time Signal Processing. Myself, Mr. K. Arun Kumar, working as an assistant professor in the Department of ECE, Savitha Engineering College. This lecture is completely about linear and circular convolution. Okay, in the first slide, we are going to discuss what is convolution, how to do, and what are the types of convolution. Okay, assume there is a discrete system with impulse response h of n and discrete input x of n. If x of n is fed to the system, then the output of the system is written as y of n is equal to convolution between x of n and h of n. The convolution may be linear or it may be a circular convolution. Linear convolution is nothing but a mathematical operation done to calculate the output of any linear time invariant system. For that system, we will given some input x of n and system is that it has own impulse response h of n. Circular convolution also similar like linear convolution of that is the operation of folding a sequence, shifting it, multiplying it with another sequence and summing the resulting sequence. Okay. The output of both linear and circular convolution will be same. Okay. Now we will see how to proceed linear convolution and circular convolution for the given sequences. Yeah, let us consider linear convolution now. First, let us take the input to the system x of n is equal to, it's a discrete input. So they are given 6 samples. The samples are 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2. Okay. The impulse response of the system h of n is equal to 2, 1 and 1. Now they are asking us to compute output of the system by using linear convolution. Okay. One thing first we should know, before proceeding for output y of n, first calculate the number of samples in x of n and h of n. Also we should able to calculate the number of samples in y of n also based on n and m. Let us consider n is nothing but number of samples or length of x of n. The length represents here the samples count. Okay. If I see the x of n, there are 6 samples, it means that n is equal to 6. And similarly, m is nothing but length of h of n. So there are 3 samples in h of n, so m is equal to 3. Then if we are performing linear convolution, the output sequence should have n plus m minus 1 number of samples. Here the value of n is equal to 6, the value of m is equal to 3 minus 1, that is 9 minus 1, 8. Your output should have 8 number of samples at the output. Okay. Now we will see how to perform linear convolution between two sequences. Okay. So now we can take x of n as a row and h of n as a column. It is up to the user perspective. So we can take x of n as a column, h of n as also a row. Nothing wrong. So we can do both the ways. Okay. Both are allowed. Okay. Here I have taken x of n in the row manner, h of n in the column manner. You can place the values one by one. Okay. So first I have taken x of n is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 and h of n is equal to 2, 1, 1. Okay. It is simply a multiplication. Just multiply 2 into 1, 2 into 2, 2 into 3, 2 into 4, 2 into 1, 2 into 2 and so on. So similarly take the second element of h of n, multiply with all the elements of x of n and place it in the second row. Similarly take the third element of h of n, multiply with all the values of x of n and place it in the third row. Okay. Now your y of n is equal to, so the first value is 2, do the sum of just segregate in the vertical manner. 2, 1 plus 4, 1 plus 2 plus 6, 2 plus 3 plus 8, 3 plus 4 plus 2, 4 plus 1 plus 4, 1 plus 2 and 2. This is how we have to segregate the column. Then finally your y of n will become 2, 1 plus 4 is 5, 6 plus 2 plus 1 is 9, 8 plus 3 plus 2 13, 3 plus 4 plus 2 9, 4 plus 1 plus 3 plus 4 plus 2 9. The next one is 4 plus 1 plus 4, 9. The next one is 1 plus 2, 3. The last element is 2. Now count the number of samples in y of n. Damn sure the y of n will have 8 number of samples at the output. Next, circular convolution. Okay, find circular convolution between the following signals. X of n is equal to 1 2 3 4 1 2 and h of n is equal to 2 1 1. I have taken the same example which we took for linear convolution. Okay, now once again count the number of samples in x of n and h of n and assign it to variable n and m. Okay, here the n is represents the number of samples in x of n or the length of x of n, that is nothing but 6, where m is nothing but number of samples in h of n. So here the number of samples are 3. Okay, the first and foremost condition to proceed circular convolution is the length of x of n and the length of h of n should be same. Okay, if the length are not equal, we cannot able to perform circular convolution between those sequences. But this is not a case in the in the linear convolution. For linear convolution, the length need not to be same. Okay, even if they are equal or if they are not equal, that is not an issue for linear convolution. But in circular convolution, the length of x of n and h of n should be same. Okay, now coming to our problem, here the length is 6 and 3, they are not equal, so we are in the need of to append zeros. Okay, so if I see the x of n and h of n is having the shortage of samples, that too 3 samples are shortage. Okay, so I can add or I can append another 3 zeros at the right side of h of n. Okay, we should not add zeros at the left side of the sequence. It's if you add zeros at the left side of sequence, then the property of signals may change. Okay, the appending zeros should not disturb your signal properties. Okay, so since there are 3 samples are shortage, I can add 3 zeros at the end of h of n. Now the updated sequence for x of n and h of n is 1 2 3 4 1 2 and for h of n is 2 1 1 0 0 0. Now if I calculate the length for x of n and h of n, then both are 6. Now I can able to perform circular convolution between these 2 sequences. There are 3 different approaches to perform circular convolution. The one is matrix method, the other one is concentric circle method, the third one is using convolution property. As of now, just for in the first method we are going to discuss matrix method. Okay, now I will explain how to perform a convolution between these 2 sequences using matrix method. Okay, now the number of samples in h of n is 6. Okay, then so I can write in the form of matrix. Okay, it is once again student perspective. Either they can go with h of n convolution with x of n or x of n convolution with h of n. Both are same. Here I considered h of n at the first, x of n at the second. Okay, and this matrix should be a square matrix with n cross n or m cross n, m cross m. Okay, here I considered h of n, so this should be m cross m matrix. The value of m is 6, so the matrix dimension should be 6 cross 6. Okay, and the next case is x of n. X of n should be a column matrix. Okay, so this also it has 6 elements, so the matrix dimension should be 6 cross 1. Okay, then if I multiply these 2 matrices, then I will get y of n, that is nothing but circular convoluted output. Okay, now I will say how to place the values in h of n matrices. Okay, now if I see the sequence, h of n is equal to 2 1 1 0 0 0. Okay, now take that sample and place it in the first column. Okay, 2 1 1 0 0 0. Okay, to get next column, just rotate this 0 to the second, take this 0 to the second column and shift these values by ones. Okay, and similarly to get the third column, rotate the 0 to the third column and shift these values. And similarly, to get the fourth column, take the 0 to the fourth column and rotate this, shift these values. And similarly, fifth column as well as sixth column. Okay, so if I get 6 cross 6 matrix, I can stop the process. The reason is, even if you do the rotate and shift once again, I will get the first column as it is. For example, if I do the rotation of this, I will get 2 1 1 0 0 0. That is nothing but your first column. Okay, no need of proceed further, we can stop up to this. Okay, since I got 6 cross 6 matrix. Now x of n is nothing but, once again, the sequence x of n is 1 2 3 4 1 2. You can take this values and place it in a column. Okay, since it is a column matrix. Now do this just simple matrix multiplication. Take the first row, multiply with first column, and that value is nothing but 5. And take the second row, multiply with the first column and place it in the second row, first element. And similarly, third row first column, fourth row first column, fifth row first column, sixth row first column, and place the values in y of n. Okay, this is nothing but your output of your system when the x of n and h of n is given. And this is I have done with the help of matrix method. Okay, next we'll do once again a circular convolution with the help of concentric circle method. Okay, so once again I have given the problem. Find the convolution between x1 of n and x2 of n using concentric circle method. Okay, so here the x1 of n is nothing but 1 2 3 and 4. x2 of n is nothing but 5 6 7 and 8. Okay, now check the number of samples in x1 of n and x2 of n. Okay, now count the number of samples. Then the length of x1 of n is 4 and length of x2 of n is also 4. Okay, so n is equal to 4, m is also 4. Okay, I don't find any shortage of samples in either x of n or h of n. Since both the lengths are same, I can able to proceed further for the circular convolution. Okay, maybe in the case of linear, we were discussed the number of samples in the output sequence is n plus m minus 1 number of samples. But in the case of circular convolution, the output sample should have maximum of m comma n number of samples. Here the m and n is nothing but 4. Maximum of 4 comma 4 is once again 4. So once again your output is going to have 4 samples at the output. Now we'll see how to find a circular convolution between this x1 of n and x2 of n using concentric circle method. Okay, now listen carefully. So for x1 of n and x2 of n, okay, it's once again up to the student perspective. Either they can take x1 of n in clockwise direction or x2 of n in clockwise direction. But here, for example, for the explanation purpose, I considered x1 of n in anti-clockwise direction, x2 of n in clockwise direction. Okay, now if I see the sample given in x1 of n, x1 of n is nothing but 1 2 3 4. Okay, place a circle. Okay, put a circle and place the values in a anti-clockwise direction. We can start from any point. Okay, so I started at this point, 1 2 3 4. I placed all the 4 values in anti-clockwise direction. Okay, now coming to the second sample, second sequence, x2 of n. So the where I have started at the same point, I should start x2 of n also. Okay, so I start at this point, so I will go for the same position. Okay, since x1 of n is placed in anti-clockwise direction, I will go for clockwise direction of for x2 of n. Okay, so the samples are 5 6 7 8. So place 5 6 7 8 in the outer circle in a clockwise direction. Okay, 5 6 7 8. This is step number 1. Okay, now after placing the values in clockwise and anti-clockwise direction, just multiply the values and do the summation. Okay, 5 into 1 plus 4 into 6 plus 3 into 7 plus 8 into 2, that is 5, 24, 21, 16. That value is nothing but 66. This is the first sample of your output sequence. Okay. Next, to get next sample of output sequence, okay, that's once again student perspective. Either they can rotate clockwise or anti-clockwise. Here for example, since I placed x2 of n in clockwise direction, I have to rotate x2 of in anti-clockwise direction. Okay, hope you understood. Since I placed x2 of n in clockwise direction, to get the further values I should go for anti-clock rotation. Okay, since 5, 6, 7, 8 are placed in clockwise, just rotate this 5, 6, 7, 8 in anti-clockwise. There is nothing but further steps. Okay, similarly previously it was 5 here, now it is 6 and 5, 8 and 7. Okay, and similarly once again we have to do the multiplication. Okay, 6 into 1, 4 into 7, 3 into 8, 5 into 2, and do the summation. Okay, the value is 68. This is nothing but second sample of your output sequence. Okay, to get the third sample, once again rotate x2 of in anti-clockwise direction. Now 5 will come to this position, 8 will go here, 7 will go here, 6 will come to this position. As we'll see. Yeah. Now once again do the multiplication, do the summation. 7 into 1, 4 into 8, 3 into 5, 6 into 2, and do the summation. That is nothing but 66. This is nothing but third sample of your output sequence. Now to get the fourth sample, that to last samples, once again we have to rotate. Okay, now rotate this 5 once again in an anti-clockwise direction, since x2 of n is placed in clockwise. Okay, 5, 8, 7, 6. That is nothing but your this figure. Okay, once again multiply the values and do the summations. I am getting 60. That is 8 plus 1, 4 into 5, 3 into 6, 7 into 2. That value is 60. Now this is your fourth sample of your output sequence. Now you can write y of n is equal to 66, 68, 66, 60. This is nothing but circular convolution of the given two sequences x1 of n and x2 of n by using concentric circle method. Whether if I follow matrix method or concentric circle method or convolution property, the resultant will be same. Okay, result will not change. Okay, next, the third method to do the circular convolution is by using convolution property of DFT and IDFT. Okay, directly here I went to the problem. So perform the circular convolution of the sequences x of n and h of n using DFT and IDFT method. Okay, so they are asking us to proceed this problem using discrete Fourier transform and inverse discrete Fourier transform. Okay, and clearly we know that from the previous lectures, that too from convolution property, we know that if the two time domain signals are in convolution, then the corresponding frequency domain will be multiplication of those transformed sequences. Here, so that's why I said y of k is equal to multiplication of x of k and h of k, where y of k is nothing but DFT of y of n, x of k is nothing but DFT of x of n, h of k is nothing but DFT of h of n. Now we have to take the DFT for x of n, we have to take the DFT for h of n, that both the sequence should be multiplied to get y of k. From that y of k, we can able to find y of n by doing the process of inverse discrete Fourier transform. Okay, now we will see how to proceed this. Okay, let us consider x of n is equal to 1, 1, 2, 1. We should take DFT for this sequence x of n. Okay, so to take DFT for this sequence, either student can follow direct computation of DFT or FFT algorithm like DIT algorithm or DIF algorithm. It is up to the student's choice. Okay, they can go with direct computation or any FFT algorithm. Okay, So if I take DFT for the sequence, the resultant will be x of k is equal to 5 minus 1 1 and minus 1. Okay, similarly compute DFT for h of n also. The h of n is equal to 1 2 3 4. The corresponding DFT of h of n is 10 comma minus 2 plus 2j minus 2 minus 2 minus 2j. Now I got two sequences, x of k and h of k. They are nothing but DFT of x of n and h of n. Now as per the property, I should multiply these two sequences to get y of k. Okay, the multiplication is by sample. Okay, 5 into 10 minus 1 into minus 2 plus 2j, 1 into minus 2 minus 1 into minus 2 minus 2j. If I multiply these two sequences sample by sample, then y of k is equal to 50 comma 2 minus 2j comma minus 2 comma 2 plus 2j. Okay, our objective is to find the response of the system, that is nothing but y of n. Okay, y of n is time domain signal. Okay, as of now I have the frequency domain output. Okay, to get time domain signal from the frequency domain, I should go for inverse discrete Fourier transform. Okay, if I take the inverse discrete Fourier transform for this y of k, okay, either by using direct computation of IDFT or any FFT algorithm, then the IDFT of y of k is 13 comma 14 comma 11 comma 12. Okay, this is nothing but my output of the system. But this I have done with the help of convolution property. So to cross verify this, okay, I can go for matrix method. This is only for the verification purpose. Take the, I have taken this nothing but x of n and this nothing but here h of n. Okay, place these values 1 2 3 4 and rotate shift 4 1 2 3 3 4 1 2 2 3 4 1. Then place the values of h of n 1 1 2 1. Then multiply this two matrices. Then the answer is 13 14 11 and 12. Now if I check both the y of n sequences, both are same. This is all about your this lectures. So far we discussed how to perform linear convolution between two sequences and how to perform circular convolution between two sequences using matrix method, concentric circle method and using convolution property. Okay, so here I have given three problems for the practice. So the first one is x1 of n is given, x2 of n is given. Find x3 of n such that x3 of k is equal to x1 of k into x2 of k, as well as compute x3 of n using matrix method. Okay, this is what we discussed so far in the previous slides. So this is using convolution property and the basic matrix method. Hope you don't have any other issues in this. Then coming to the second problem, they are asking linear and circular convolution of the x1 of n and x2 of n. They given x1 of n is equal to del of n plus del of n minus 1 plus del of n minus 2. We all know that del of n exists only at n is equal to 0. Del of n minus 1 del of n minus 1 exists only at n is equal to 1. Del of n minus 2 exists at only n is equal to 2. It means that indirectly they mentioned x1 of n is equal to 1 comma 1 comma 1. And coming to x2 of n, it is 2 del of n minus del of n minus 1 plus 2 del of n minus 2. It is indirectly they mentioned that the sequence is 2 comma minus 1 comma 2. Okay, it is simple. So you can either follow matrix or concentric circle or convolution property. Here they didn't mention any method to do it. So you can take your own choice. Coming to the third problem. So consider two sequences x of n cos n pi by 2 and h of n is 2 power n. Determine the output sequence y of n by circular convolution. Assume n is equal to 4. It means that we have to generate our own sequence x of n. If capital N is equal to 4, we know that small n takes the value from 0, 1, 2, 3. Then find x of 0, x of 1, x of 2 and x of 3. And similarly find h of 0, h of 1, h of 2 and h of 3 and do the circular convolution between those sequences by use of matrix method, concentric circle method and convolution property. Yeah, thank you for the session.